In this video, we will start learning more about provider, how to install, creating a provider, and use it in our shopping app. Last video was about explaining very simple concepts about provider, and I will separate this video to 3 steps. Step number 1, adding provider package. Actually, the first step in any application you will create in Flutter is adding your packages. And here we need provider packages. Let's go to pub.dev and search for provider. And here you can select this. And this is the official documentation of Flutter provider. And now let's press copy these dependencies here and put it in pubspec.yaml in our project. Here under dependencies. After that, run pub-get. Now provider is installed and ready to use in our app. Yeah! Now before we continue from this video, you will find the code of every video in the description of this video on YouTube or in my blog or in my GitHub account. And the easiest way to reach it is that after I publish this on YouTube, you will find it here in my website. So bookmark this website on your browser now. Now let's go to step number 2. As I explained before, provider is a class in our app. And we need to create a provider class for every kind of data that we need to manage in our app. That means that we can have more than one provider in our application. So let's create a folder here called provider or providers. And inside this folder, we will create a Dart file called products provider. In this page, I will create a class called products. After that, we will mix this class with class called changeNotifier. And to import this class, you have to import foundation or material app.dart packages. We mix in with the changeNotifier to be able to use function called notify listeners. And we need notify listeners to alert our widgets that listening and using the data of this provider, and alerting them by telling these widgets that there is a change happened on the data that they're using or showing in the app, and they need to run build method of these widgets again to update the UI with the new data. And here's a quick Flutter tip for you. Should I use extend or Mixin with a change provider? They both allow us to use a notify listener function, so what's the difference? If you are in this level of Flutter development and still don't know the answer, you won't get a job. I don't want to waste your precious time. I will put the link of this tip in the description of this video. Now you can define whatever you want in this class, so let's delete this function now. So let's first define our list of our available products. I am gonna copy it from main shopping screen, and here we won't make it final because it will change over time. And here we need to import products.dart to know what is the product is, which is our model that we have created before. I will make this list private by adding underscore before its name. And this is very important because, as I mentioned before, we're using notify listeners function to notify the widgets that there is a change happened in the data in this provider. So if someone else can change the available data outside this class, we won't be able to run notify listener function, and it's going to be messy. So it's better practice to make it private if you don't want to access this list outside or this data outside provider. After we set this property private, we will need a getter and setter for this property so that we can use it. To make a getter function, first we need to set the return type, which is a list of product, then get keyword, then the name of the getter, which is going to be the same of this list name. Then we will return our list. We can, instead of using this brackets and return word, we can use fat arrow by using this and return and semicolon. I promise you I will teach you a lot of Flutter tips if you watch this whole tutorial with me. Now we need to make a setter function, which we will use to add data to this class here. But for now, let's just create an add product function, only adding a product. And here as you can see, I used notify listeners. So here you can get the products available or your list of products, and here you can add a value to this list. After that, notify listeners that there is a change happened in the data inside this list. Now, widgets that listen to this data will update the UI for the user with the new data, of course. Let's comment this, we won't need it for now. Now, if we look here, we have a normal Dart class, but we turned it to a data container, which get a data and add data and notify listeners that there is a change happened. And that's it. Creating a provider class was the second step in this video. By the way, I am so proud of you for getting to this point. Give yourself a high five for me. Now let's go to step number 3, which is the time that we will provide our data to the widgets that need this data. To do that, you need to make a provider on the top of the widget tree, and this is by wrapping the top widget in the tree with our data provider. If we go here in main and press Flutter outline, you will see the tree of your widget. So here in our shopping app, all the products or the data that we need to show it in main shopping app and products details screen. So we should put our provider here in the material app. Oh, by the way, Flutter outline is also a tip from me to you. If you didn't know it, just give this video a like and subscribe to my channel. So we need to add provider to the top of these two widgets here in my app homepage. Now it's time finally to use provider.
Let's do it.
Here in my homepage, we will wrap main shopping screen with a change notifier provider. And to do this, you press Option and Enter. Wrap this widget, and we will use change notifier provider. And to use this, you have to import provider package. After that, you will see an error because change notifier provider won't or required a create argument. And let's know more about create. Create is a function that take build context and return our provider. So here we can return an object from our class that we created before. We provide an instance or an object of the class that we have already created. Let's import the provider class, and instead of using brackets and return, we will use fat arrow because we want to make our codes cleaner and less number of lines. Now we finished from providing the data for the widget tree, and that's it. You now reach almost 70% information about using provider for managing state in your app. I'm so proud of you.
I'm proud of you, buddy.
Now we set up a provider which will provide a single unique instance of our products class, and that's to all child widgets in our app. Because here we added on the top of the main shopping app screen, which is almost on the top of our widget tree. Okay, let's summarize this video. When you want to use state management using provider in your app, I want you always remember provider like this. Step number 1, defining a data container, which is a provider class. Number 2, take a single object or instance from this class. Number 3, provide and use this only object in the app. And number 4, get and set data through functions inside the provider class. And this to notify widgets that listen to this data and inform them to rebuild the UI with the new data. For just the widgets that listen. That's it for the provider. In short, it's all about creating one instance or one object with properties, which is data, and use this only instance in the widget tree. Now you understand the provider idea with 85%. Hey, I know it's a lot to get, so let's use provider in children's in the next videos after you take a coffee break.
Mwah! Good night, everybody.